the vast open West, full of gunslingers, saloons, and ruthless lawmen. In this film, our main characters are bank robbers, on the run from specially trained posse of killers, where a chase is always one wrong step away from certain death. Close call after close call, our heroes narrowly escape and eventually flee to Bolivia to avoid their pursuers. Unable to find comfort in their new lives, however, they return to their old ways of robbing banks, with the added twist of a foreign language. Once again, the duo attracts a lot of attention from the local law enforcement, but this time they're forced to combat a small army of Bolivian soldiers. Although our heroes were some of the brightest and fastest in the Wild West, this was Bolivia. Their 6 shooters were not nearly fast enough for the gunfire of dozens of rifles waiting for them. With an intro like that, I think I am here to give you a review of Sergio Leone's spaghetti western, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, full of tense action sequences and bloody violence. Overall, one of many fantastic films in the western genre. While the music was in fact from the opening titles of this very famous western, I was providing a short synopsis of George Roy Hill's Butch, Cassidy, and the Sundance Kid, released in 1969. That just shows you how much of an impact sound has on the overall cinematic experience. You're able to identify the theme from an iconic western, even if you had no idea what movie it was from, or what movie I was talking about. Think about cowboys standing off at high noon, a tumbleweed rolling between them in the dust, with the faint creaking of a saloon door blowing in the wind. Both men slowly motioning towards their hips, but everything remains eerily silent around them, as if the world stopped to watch these 2 men clad in dusters solve a problem the best way they knew how, on the draw. The gunslingers stare each other down, their hands kept inches away from their holsters, still not a word muttered from either of them, and not a sound from anything within a mile, when suddenly, bang! One of the men falls to the dirt, while the other spins his Colt around his finger and slides it coolly back into the holster around his waist. These types of scenes are almost centerpiece to the western genre, and one of the reasons they are so unique and loved is the mood it creates. This is mostly accomplished through the use of sound, or in this case, a lack of sound, to build tension. When the sound from a film is pulled, the audience is able to enter their own head and become more visually focused on the film. They draw their own interpretations as to what is about to happen, based on what they have seen previously and how the scene is built up. The tension continues to build as the silence is prolonged, and the audience waits in anticipation, hoping that something, anything, will happen. Finally, the moment comes when the silence is broken, usually by a harsh, loud noise, like a gunshot. In Butch, Cassidy, and the Sundance Kid, silence is used in this way to build tension throughout numerous scenes. One involves Sundance shooting a lizard. As the 2 look out on the horizon, scanning for a posse chasing them, they sit in complete silence. The camera pans left and right, showcasing the beautiful landscape and a lack of hitmen chasing our heroes. Sitting there in anticipation, there is a nearly inaudible scuffle off-screen, which is quickly followed with the loud crack of Sundance firing his weapon. The quick and drastic change in audio is enough to make most people jump out of their chairs. This technique successfully absorbs the audience in the scene, and keeps them engaged with any amount of excitement. Even though Sundance merely shot a lizard behind them, there was so much tension built around the silence and anticipation that most people's hearts were beating a little faster than before. Now this is just one great example of the impact sound has on film, whether it's the sounds of birds chirping in the woods or bullets whizzing past. Sound sets a mood for the audience, and a lack of sound can do so much more.